My friend's boss demanded everyone hand over their full medical histories, HR called it buttfuck stupid, and now he's officially out of a job. +1 update. So first of all, a bit misleading title, as the person in this situation is not me but my friend. Second, this is going to be fairly long and perhaps unnecessary context heavy. It's not an urgent request for answers, and I hope this will be more interesting than boring, even if it is long-winded. Smile. I will include a TL, doctor at the bottom. To get to the main issue, though, one of my friend's co-workers passed away while at work last month. It was apparently a massive heart attack. He was under 50, so it shocked everyone, more so that it happened literally at his desk in the middle of a shared open plan office. While at the wake, my friends, and the deceased's direct boss was talking to some family members, and he informally learned that the worker who died had some existing high blood pressure / other health problems that he had been neglecting to treat. Relatives apparently think he would not have died had he been more vigilant with his health. A moot point, and certainly none of his boss or co-workers' business. Boss has taken this situation pretty hard. I gather he was extremely freaked out on the day of the incident, and the information that the worker had a pre-existing medical condition that could have potentially predicted what would happen seems to have sparked an idea in his head. On Friday, he announced to the office as a whole, all 20-ish of his direct reports, part of a larger company of 250 to 300 people, that he is giving them until May 1st, specifically after tax season, because he thinks he is being nice and unnecessarily accommodating of people's time, to provide him personally, not HR, not higher execs, just him, an updated copy of your full medical history. According to him, this means a visit with a PCP/GP no less than 6 months prior to the due date, and fully accounting by the doctor for all at-risk health factors, and a full further accounting of all risk factors in your full medical history. These are direct quotes. He gave everyone a memo. The wording in the memo is pretty basic directions and poorly thought out legalese, some of it almost stream of consciousness in style. He is in the habit of dictating to his assistant and gets pretty uptight about her recording exactly what he said and not rewording things to make more sense when he is vague or grammatically confusing, even with his important correspondence. He is claiming this policy will allow him to prevent further trauma-inducing incidents, like a co-worker dying very suddenly at his desk a few feet away from you, and honestly seems to be of the opinion that this will protect the company from legal harassment in case anyone wants to sue for the trauma of witnessing a death in the workplace. I guess the idea is that if he knows a co-worker is likely to die suddenly, he can fire them first to prevent anything falling back on him/the company? It doesn't seem to make much sense on the surface, and I can't guess if this is truly his real motivation. Also, as if a medical history works in a way as to accurately predict sudden deaths of that type. He is clearly not rational on this plan. Honestly, to me it sounds like he was freaked out by witnessing the incident himself, and when the thought crossed his mind to sue the company for his own trauma, it eventually turned into an idea to play it as if he is a good policymaker trying to protect the company from legal trouble, from people like himself. Apparently he's been angling for a promotion for years and has in the past already come up with some pretty harebrained schemes to suck up to his own bosses. Anyway, my friend is pretty level-headed and her immediate instinct is to go to HR on Monday and let them know what's going on, but the way she presented the story to me gave me pause. She described it, casually, over drinks last night, in a manner like, listen to this completely illegal thing my boss is trying to do. It does seem to me like he's crossing some dubious legal lines, but I've been lurking here long enough to see a lot of people come in with workplace issues they are sure are 100% against the law, and it often turns out the answer to can they do this? Is yup, totally. I think the question of is this stupid for my boss to do and should I bring it to HR/higher-ups is a pretty clear yes, since it doesn't have to be illegal for HR to have other reasons to want to shut this down immediately. Still, I'm curious on the actual legality of what this blowhard is planning. I could speculate that at the very least it seems like it could easily run afoul of the AITA? Thanks in advance for any input. TL, Dr. Boss wants all 20 of his direct reports to hand in their full medical history to him personally so he can make sure to fire them if they are likely to have a heart attack and die on the job, before they can traumatize their coworkers. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. The EEOC has a good FAQ on medical-related inquiries in the workplace. I would suggest your friend read this and then go to HR. Oop. Oh, thank you, this looks very helpful. What stands out to me immediately is this part: disability-related inquiries and medical examinations of employees must be job-related and consistent with business necessity. Do you think he could argue that it's a business necessity to not, say, disrupt the office with a, supposedly, predictable, traumatizing death? Or is that too much on the side of opinion to count, legally? Commenter 1. In my opinion, that is far too general to meet the job-related and consistent with business necessity prong. Look at it this way: you need to be alive to do any job on Earth. For the EEOC, An employer's reasonable belief that an employee's ability to perform essential job functions will be impaired by a medical condition or that he will pose a direct threat due to a medical condition must be based on objective evidence obtained, or reasonably available to the employer, prior to making a disability-related inquiry or requiring a medical examination. Such a belief requires an assessment of the employee and his/her position and cannot be based on general assumptions. Top comments. Commenter 2. Is it just me, or does this sound like a lost episode of The Office? Oop. Thanks. Now I'm imagining Michael Scott trying to get away with this and having an epic fight with Toby over it. In all seriousness, though, Michael falls more on the incompetent but well-meaning side of the scale than this guy. My friend has been regaling me with awful stories since she started working there a couple of years ago, and he is far more malicious with his dumb ideas than Michael or even the UK version's David Brent. Although imagining an employer thinking they could get away with this in the UK is perhaps even more hilarious. Commenter 2. Can you imagine Michael Scott's reaction if one of his employees died of a heart attack? It's actually pretty sad. I can just picture him sitting alone in his office overlooking the parking lot, just weeping. Commenter 3. Stanley. Barack is president. Barack is President Stanley. Update, 19 days later. Update, complete medical records boss. Since I know my original post got posted to Bo LA and there were quite a few people in the comments asking for updates, I thought I would provide closure. Smile. Just got off the phone with my friend a few minutes ago and it is official, boss is now ex-boss. My friend did in fact go to HR as she was planning and lay out the situation for them. They seemed concerned and assured her they would look into it, and then she heard no more of it for about a week. Ex-boss was also suspiciously quiet about the policy during that time period. Until last Monday he was not in the office. There was no explanation given to the office at large, but my friend spoke to his assistant, and from the information she got from her pieced together that he was in some long, important meetings with corporate HR and that he would then be taking the rest of the week on personal leave. Well, the weekend passed and he didn't return. The office was in limbo for the beginning of this week, but today someone came down from corporate and announced that ex-boss was officially no longer working for the company and that new corporate guy would be serving as their temporary supervisor until a new one was hired. Obviously everything largely went on behind the scenes, but since my friend was the one to blow the whistle to her friend in HR, yes, I did see the comments on the previous thread about how HR is never your friend, lol, she managed to get a couple details at lunchery, the way it all went down. Apparently, corporate was initially quickly and heavily concerned about ex-boss's scheming because he does have a history of dumb ideas that blew up in his or someone else's face. He had in the past always managed to take the heat off himself by throwing someone else under the bus. When local HR came to him to tell him that this new policy was officially bugfuck stupid and would cause him and the company far more liability than he could possibly save them from, he threw a temper tantrum and insisted that the higher execs would understand what a good idea it was. The meetings with corporate were initially them trying to talk him down and explain why he was wrong. He resisted this strongly and turned them into seminars on why he was actually right. Eventually a VP got involved and it was over. Ex-boss was not technically fired, but he was strongly encouraged to submit his resignation, and he will not be getting any reference other than a confirmation that he did in fact work there. My friend hasn't personally heard anything from the guy since he suddenly disappeared from the office. If he's contacted any of her coworkers, they didn't share it with her. She's pretty excited to see the last of him and is hoping her new boss will be less of a moron. Apparently one of her longtime coworkers that has always been a bit of a mentor figure to her is being considered for a promotion internally instead of them hiring someone new as supervisor, so my friend might even materially benefit from this fiasco. Smile. Again, my thanks to everyone who provided me with info and advice, and also to those who were just supportive. I did drop off commenting after a few hours because I do browse Reddit most of my workday and I am paranoid about accidentally commenting with my main when I mean to use my throwaway and vice versa, so I just stayed logged out of this account. Sorry for the lack of real-time clarification, but hopefully this update makes up for it.